Hello everyone. Today I kind of want to talk about a different solution for gaming. Many of you know that I really like to recommend these retro handheld gaming devices. Maybe you have seen predominantly the RG35XX Plus on my channel because it has a smaller form factor, and I recently tried to utilize this RG40XV more in my rotation, but it is a bigger device. And with a bigger device, it's less likely that I bring it with me on a daily basis. So what would be a different solution that you always bring with you, which is your phone? This is the Samsung Fold 5, and I have this new Genki 8BitDo controller that is very akin to a Super Nintendo controller, which is why I kind of wanted to talk about this controller, because I do realize that while I think there are a lot of benefits utilizing a retro gaming device, I can understand that some of you want to just play on their phones, be it either on the iPhone, which many people have, and there are a lot of cool games, or in my case, a Samsung phone with, granted, a really big screen that not many people have. But because you have your phone with you all of the time, it is more likely that you would maybe gravitate towards a phone instead of getting one of these gaming handheld devices. I will get to why I would still recommend these types of gaming devices, but I do want to kind of recognize that some people want to play on the phone. That being said, playing on the phone, not having physical buttons, is, in my humble opinion, a huge disadvantage and a big reason why I personally never have played games on my phone. But again, I kind of want to acknowledge that people want to play games on their phone, especially because they have it with them and they do not necessarily want to carry a device that has basically the same form factor and size as a phone. And maybe I contradict myself by saying, okay, maybe get a controller that you connect via Bluetooth. But to be fair, this is not as big as this device, or probably not even as big as the Anbernic RG35XX Plus. Just for comparison, this is the Logitech MX Master, and you can already see it definitely is, from the footprint size, basically this similar. But because this is much slimmer, it is fairly easy to just keep in your pants or jacket pocket and then play. Again, I will get to in a second why I personally think this is not, there is much more benefit in getting something like this. But again, I kind of want to acknowledge that people want to play games on their phones. So this is the 8BitDo controller, as I said, very akin to a Super Nintendo controller, which I really like. This is perfect for retro gaming, but also retro gaming probably is not for everyone, especially if you don't own all of the cartridges. It's a little bit more difficult to actually play retro gaming. But if you're on iPhone, or also some games on Android, but on the iPhone a little bit more, there are so many games that you can play, and having physical buttons like this Genki 8BitDo controller is amazing. You do have these D-pad controls that are perfect for retro gaming, but you also have these really good analog sticks. Again, very similar in form factor like the Super Nintendo controller, but these sticks are, from my personal memory, I have an Xbox now, but I feel like these are very similar to the PlayStation controllers. So you don't lose anything by having a Super Nintendo style. You actually can play modern games with an analog controller as well. You have 4 buttons here, and of course 4 shoulder buttons here on the side. You can connect to PC, Steam, Switch, or an Apple or Android device. We have another button here which is, I would say, I don't know if it's what actually this does in some games, but this is the menu. Oh no, this was the home button. Sorry, this is the home button, and this is my brain was blanking. And this is basically the menu button. Start select, obviously, and you supposedly have gyro control, but I didn't use this. I basically utilized this for retro gaming, but I also started playing Diablo. And let me just switch this on by pushing the start button and then go to Android. Boop. So now you can see here, let me just, it connected, but let me zoom in here a little bit. So the controls are really good. As I said, this is kind of like Super Nintendo, but the retro controls are amazing. The only downside that I really noticed, obviously I haven't played in a while Diablo, these buttons are fairly loud. Let me just get it to the mic. So they have a really good tactical feel, but they are much louder than the squishy. It's kind of hard to showcase, but there is a noticeable sound difference with these buttons. And I should have started this earlier, but again, it's not about Diablo, but it's more about how I connect this and the controller. Again, personally, I think gaming on a device like this is much better. But if you want to game on your phone, or obviously you can connect it to your Switch as well, which I think is amazing. This is a very good alternative to a regular Switch controller because it's Super Nintendo style, but you can also connect it to your Mac or to your PC. And let me just, did I connect this now? Let me just double check. Bluetooth. It is connected, so why don't you recognize this? There we go. Let's go to. Well, I'm actually have been really surprised how good the Diablo mobile game is. Yeah, don't care. You see this, I can run around. So it's not about the game, but it's more about how this controller is great to actually give your phone physical buttons. But let me just run this in. So now let me just quickly talk again. Again, this controller is amazing, and I think if you like gaming on your phone, I think it is really cool and almost mandatory to invest in a controller. And I will put an affiliate link for this controller in the description below. But I really want to kind of put an argument to get something like the Anbernic instead. As I said, gaming with this and with the controller is amazing. But when you are on your phone, when you're gaming, I utilize gaming, especially with retro gaming, as a means to kind of switch my brain off a little bit and kind of dive into a story and really play a game with the goal to free my mind. And I feel like when I'm playing on a phone, as you just saw, I need to download stuff. Especially with modern games. I mean, Diablo is maybe a very extreme situation where you actually need to download stuff, but loading times are, I feel like with modern games, always a little bit longer. Not by much, but it's still something that you need to consider. And then, very importantly, on the phone, you will always have notifications. Yes, you can kind of switch off the notifications, the on-screen notifications, but still vibrates. And when you are a freelancer like I am, you're basically always in work mode. And just having the phone in hand and kind of feeling, oh, okay, there is a notification. Is that a job? Is that something I need to do for the project that I'm working in? The benefit or the goal that I want, so to kind of detach myself for a couple of minutes from work so that I can return to work with a fresh perspective, is something that is then completely off the table. So having a controller to play games on your phone is amazing, or gives you much more enjoyment playing a game, but it won't help you to, at least for me, to detach from whatever you need to do. You will always be in work mode and kind of notice the, no pun intended, notifications, and you then basically cannot detach yourself from work mode. That is why that is why I really recommend to get one of these Anbernic devices. The RG34XX is not my favorite recommendation because this is just way too big. I cannot put this in my pants pocket. But the RG35XX or XX Plus, which I utilize, is perfect. I can always carry this around. Again, the phone and the controller fit perfectly in my pants pockets as well, but they don't give me the same kind of detachment from work like a retro gaming device. So the controller from Genki, the 8BitDo, amazing if you just want to play and have some haptic controls. I mean, I hate, and hate is a strong word, but I really dislike playing on a screen. You don't feel the buttons and your finger just slides around. Having physical buttons makes gaming so much more enjoyable. Again, if you prefer gaming on your phone, this would be my very high recommendation to buy this. But I would recommend getting a gaming device, a dedicated retro gaming device, over this. Yes, you can only play retro gaming up to PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast, but those games, in my humble opinion, are much better to kind of detach yourself, because you don't have to download updates, because loading times are quicker, because it is better, in air quotes, to, for example, play Super Mario or Tetris for those 10 minutes to detach yourself from work. With Diablo, for example, the storyline is so much bigger, and you cannot you can save in between, but you always start like from the village, if I'm not completely mistaken. I haven't played this Diablo for a while. That's basically why I bought Diablo 3 4 or 5 times on the Mac, PS3, PS4, Switch. Yeah, 4 times. And I enjoyed it on the Switch the most, because I can just switch off or put the Switch in standby mode, and I'm still at the same point where I left off. So for me, this time kind of saving in the moment and putting it away, then taking it in my hand for 10 minutes is so much better. And the biggest reason why I kind of recommend this device on my channel, on this channel so much, because it is one of the tools that helps me to kind of maintain my mental health in between really big projects where I have so much on my mind. Just playing for 10 minutes helps me to kind of reset my brain. But again, if you want to play on your phone, the Genki 8BitDo Super Nintendo style controller, amazing device. Alright, so thank you so much for watching this short little video about this controller, but again, I would recommend getting an Anbernic instead. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see the last video about a gaming device, watch the video up here. YouTube thinks that you like the video down here, and don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button up here, and then we see each other in the next video. Thank you very much.